Hello everyone, MFPallytime here. Welcome back to Heroes of the Storm. In today's video, we are going to be playing as Valla. She received some auto-attack changes in the last patch, and some multi-shot changes in the last patch as well. So typically, Valla's most successful builds up until this patch were all focused around multi-shot. I have always been a fan of auto-attack Valla, but I feel like I was a bit of a minority for that. Multi-shot gave a ton of AoE damage in the middle of team fights. It also gave a lot of utility. Slowing down every single target you hit with multi-shot was actually really useful in team fights. About a year ago, Valla was very prominent in the pro scene. She was in every game. She kind of died down a little bit once the mages kind of rose to power, but she's always been a super reliable pick. And I think that's still the case today, even though multi-shot did have its damage nerfed. Her auto attacks, however, have been buffed, and I'm going to do a build today that's focused around her trait quite a lot. Not full trait build. I am going to try to deviate a little bit, although I have seen some success lately with people just going for every single talent that buffs her trait. We're going to try to get a little bit more utility out of an auto attack character, and we'll see how it goes today. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves on the Dragon Shire map today, easily my least favorite map in the game, and we are presented with a lot of damage on both teams and no tanks, no supports at all, so this is going to be a team deathmatch kind of game. But if we can do well here, then we could do well anywhere. I forgot to change my mount. This was meant to match the red skin tint. But you know what? We won't dwell on that. Rancor coming out of level 1. Hatred increases your attack speed by 1.5% per stack. And we are able to get 10 stacks of Hatred. So, basically we're going to attack very quickly as long as we're able to do long drawn-out damage versus not a single target, but, you know, in the middle of a team fight, we can hit multiple targets. And the more we auto-attack, the faster we will auto-attack the next time, which is pretty cool. I've always enjoyed that mechanic. Our Q ability is Hungering Arrow. This is going to shoot out a projectile in a straight line. If it hits a target, it will then circle back around and hit other targets in the area. Really good for, so basically if the enemy team has a lot of dive characters, so like a Tyrael, a Chin, anyone that will step very far out of position to dive onto your back line, you can actually do some really effective Hungering Arrow builds to counter that kind of playstyle. It's not the most reliable because, you know, if the enemy team stays very clumped up, all of a sudden your burst single target damage is almost non-existent. But in the right settings, it can be very effective at taking down enemy heroes. And again, we're not going to be doing that today. We are going to be going for an auto attack focus build with a little bit of utility, but one of the great things about Valla, she's always just had a ton of options. Her playstyle can be very different from a game-to-game basis, and that's something that a lot of assassins can't really say. We are going to have some issues here with this Li Ming moving in. I'm trying to be very careful with my positioning. I'm trying to stay very safe, but it is going to be a little hard to live through her damage output, especially because I don't think I'm going to be getting Vampiric Assault. I'm going to go for something else at level 4. But hopefully with Gazlo we'll be able to do it. That is the real Nova. Our Nova isn't opening up on her at all. There she goes. Zul coming in from the middle lane trying to trade into us, but he is going to be pushed back now. Li Ming standing on the other side of this wall. She's not going to be able to get much done, basically. Unfortunately, we have only Falset up top, and he is going against 2 damage dealers, so that is going to be a difficult lane for him. We are going to go for Manticore. Attacks against the same target deal more damage. Every third basic attack, we're going to burst for 60% additional damage on our auto attack. Now, this is not a talent that I've used a lot in the past, and it's totally viable. A lot of people really like this talent. I typically would go for Vampiric Assault here, and then I would increase our damage further at level 13, or increase our healing further at level 13. So it's a lot of self-sustain focus on Valla. We're not doing that today. We're going for pure damage output in this team deathmatch that we found ourselves in here today. We are going to take down Zul as he completely overextended for no reason. Gazlo is backing up to take a mercenary camp, and just like that, I am bursted down by the enemy team's Oh, no. By the enemy team is lead big. Well, rolled into that one. Rolled into that one, boys. Shit, man. Happens to the best of us, right? Happens to the best of us. Looks like there's some hero brawling going on in the middle lane right now. No one's soaking top lane for either team. Gazlo's still soaking the bottom lane, which is exactly what he should be doing if we want to focus on XP generation. The enemy team's Li Ming, low health over on the left side here. If we can mount up, maybe we can cut her off and deal some damage, but now Nova for the enemy team is making her way down, and I do miss that hungering arrow. So multi-shot is my W ability. I haven't really talked about it much, but this is what most Vallas would build for at higher end play, because it's just great utility in a team fight. You can do your multi-shot, you can increase the width, you can increase the range, and then add a slow on top of it, so it's just fantastic utility. We are going to go for Searing Attacks at level 7, which is going to combo pretty well with Manticore. It's going to increase our attack speed, and allow us to get that bonus damage off significantly more often. Does it increase our attack damage as well? I believe it does. Oh, it's only attack damage. Well, never mind. So we're going to use this still in conjunction with Manticore to deal more damage. For some reason, I thought Searing Attacks had an attack speed buff. Was that a thing like in the alpha and then I just completely forgot about it? We are overextended and Gazlo did die, and we're taking damage from the Giants, so we just need to back up a little bit. Again, we don't have that early game healing that we could have gotten with Vampiric Assault, so we do need to be extremely careful versus this enemy team. They can burst us down in mere moments. We don't have a tank, we don't have a support, so we just have to play very cautious in the early game. But even with me playing as cautious as I have been, we're still putting up comparable numbers to every other person in this game. So Searing Attacks is going to increase our attack damage when we have the attack speed that Valla is able to obtain, and we also have that bonus damage every third auto attack that can really start to add up. Now the problem with this ability is it does drain your mana every single time you auto attack, which means that Valla can basically starve herself of mana very, very quickly, because remember, every time you auto attack, you're losing mana, and we buffed our attack speed at level 1. So it's a bit of a scary combo. Oh, so you just wanted to die, okay. Well, that was polite. She was just like, well, I guess I'm just gonna die. I could have mounted up and chased her if I really wanted to, but there was no need. She just stood there and she took it. We are gonna be taken down by the enemy team's Valla here, just got out of position. And she took advantage of it. We are gonna go for Rain of Vengeance, area attack that stuns enemies at level 10. If you are going for auto attack builds, Rain of Vengeance quite simply is a higher DPS talent. Now, it does take a little bit more skill to land the stun. Basically, this is just a skill shot stun that comes in 2 waves. It's not even a long stun, but it is going to deal some damage on impact, 539 at this level. It is going to do a half-second stun, so good for interrupting channeled ultimates like the Ravenous Spirit or Lily's Jugs. But if you pick Strafe with an auto attack build, essentially all of your damage comes from exactly what you're seeing right now, these auto attacks. And when you're strafing, you're not getting any benefit from your talents whatsoever. So because of that, I pretty much always go for this stun. Oh god, it's so good. I pretty much always go for the stun at level 10. If I were to strafe there, she would have killed me no problem. And I mean no problem. And Lunara can do a lot of damage. Now I think once Lunara hits 13, she's gonna rip right through me and it's gonna be disgusting. But you know, we're gonna have a little bit of sustain then too, so this game could really go any way. I know this isn't the greatest example of a match to show this kind of playstyle in, because this playstyle does benefit a lot from your team crowd controlling things. And can the multi-shot help? I don't think it did. I think that was Disintegrate and Triple Tap. This kind of playstyle does really benefit from your team crowd controlling things and allowing you to just focus fire and like free cast on the back line. We are going to go for Tempered by Discipline at level 13. Now, how this works, when your Hatred gets capped, which is 10 auto attacks, You will then start to generate discipline. My stomach just growled so loud. Oh, I've got to go on a burrito run after this. This means that you have a bit more of a buffer on your hatred stack. So that attack speed buff, you have a little bit more of a buffer with these discipline stacks because you get 10 stacks of discipline as well, and they will trickle down at a different rate from your hatred. So essentially you have a little bit of extra time where you can keep your attack speed stacks, and with the stacks of discipline we are going to be healing. So we now have self-sustain at level 13. It took us a really long time to get that, but now we can kind of keep ourselves alive. He should root me here. There it is. Oh, really good follow-up from Li Ming, but unfortunately, we just locked her down with that stun, and the friendly team turned on her like it was nothing. So again, we have to get our discipline stacks back, but then we're going to be able to heal ourselves with every auto attack. Now, even with Vampiric Assault, we don't really become the best jungler in the world. We will lose health jungling on every single camp, but in the middle of a team fight, especially when you don't have a tank or a support on your side, this Tempered by Discipline talent is a pretty big deal. It'll keep you alive in a lot of scenarios. So again, gain 10 stacks of discipline. After hatred stacks are maxed, then your basic attacks heal for 3% of the damage dealt. Now this does scale with searing attacks, and this also scales with Manticore as well. So there's actually a lot of synergy with this build, even though the only thing you're doing is right-clicking on an enemy and then watching their health like deteriorate. I'm going to start this camp before Dragon happens, and then we're going to use searing attacks to hopefully burst it down a little bit faster. Now as the Dragon is pushing middle, we can also spawn in these siege giants to help push. I am going to go for Stone Skin here. I don't necessarily think this is the best talent, but to help me counter Li Ming and to give me a little bit of time to actually respond to the enemy team's burst damage, this is actually pretty good versus Lunara as well. Stone Skin is going to be very, very beneficial. Now, it is important that you don't spam your abilities too much because searing attacks is pivotal in this build. Man, Zol just wants to die. Look at that. Searing attacks is pivotal, and like I said, it will completely drain your mana bar very, very fast because of all of your attack speed steroids. So you do have to be a little careful. We are pushing in here with a vengeance, though. The Dragon is going to die fairly quick, but we should be able to keep ourselves alive, and we do have the minion wave with us as well. Uh-oh, Li Ming coming in. Actually not bursting me there. The enemy team's Valla did go for strafe. Oh, very nicely done by our Nova there, dropping a decoy to soak up some of that triple tap damage from the enemy team. I'm just going to go ahead and Sippy Cup. We can rejoin Gazlo down here, who's getting this camp. Now, we did lose all of our stacks of hatred and discipline. And there is another talent for your trait at level 7. It's called Hot Pursuit. It increases your max movement speed, but only when you're at maximum hatred. I really don't think that's a good talent at all. Most of the time when you need that movement speed, you're gonna need it before you're at 10 stacks, and the fact that you have to be in combat in order to get that buff in the first place, it just doesn't seem very good. Now with these recent changes, I do see a lot of Vallas picking that up, and you could argue with me all you want. I really don't care about you know, the viability of talents. That's totally fine. Everyone has their opinion, everyone has their play styles, and just because I didn't pick it doesn't mean I'm wrong. But I'm just not a fan of it. I don't like escape being dependent on how much I've auto-attacked. Oh, now it does come in handy with your ability to chase people down, I suppose, but yeah, it's still just not a fan. We do see two people up top dealing with Falstad, so this should be a pretty good opportunity to push in here. Now they could come back down, but it looks like Zul at least is still pushing, and we do have the numbers advantage as Gazlo and basically the rest of our friendly team, other than me and Falstad, push down the bottom lane. I'm going to go ahead and use searing attacks. We can use Stone Skin here as well. And this is the real Nova, and just watch how fast we can melt her. We did have the friendly Nova coming in to help with that, but Stone Skin and just our auto attack speed and auto attack damage was enough to keep us alive. We were healing from our discipline stacks while the shield was up. That's an important aspect of this. And we were able to burst her down in just a few auto attacks. We would have been just fine even without the help of Nova, but keep in mind, we are 4 levels ahead of the enemy team right now. This is incredibly one-sided. Nexus Frenzy is the only way to go as far as I'm concerned with a build like this. We focused on auto attacks this entire time, and we want to keep that going, and Nexus Frenzy basically increases our attack speed by 20% and the range of our attacks by 20% as well, so it allows us to be a lot safer. So keep a look at our damage numbers. I haven't been participating in too many of these team fights, but we should start to see it just skyrocket right about now. The enemy Valla wants to trade with us. We can let her do that. Now Zul, oh, excuse me, Li Ming coming in. She's gonna be deleted from the game. Can we survive long enough through the strafe? Look how little damage she was actually doing while she was strafing there. That is absolutely the wrong choice if you're trying to DPS someone down. Strafe is a talent that she is going for an auto attack build here as well, at least started to. Strafe is a talent that you use in a team fight to deal damage safely. It's not meant to DPS race someone down, and people use it as like an oh shit button, I need to kill them immediately, and that quite simply is not the purpose. It's meant to be used as damage in between your multi-shots and your hungering arrows when those are on cooldown and you're going for an ability-focused damage build with Valla. It's certainly fuck, I died before I could deal any fucking damage. It's certainly not a DPS race kind of thing where, you know, you're going head to head with someone and you just have to win. You'll lose in most situations. Weird game to show off a build like this, but I promise you it is really, really good and you should have a lot of success with it. Some things you could change out. You definitely want to get Rancor at level 1. That is the backbone of this. If you don't want Manticore, you are going to lose out on a lot of damage, but you could go for Vampiric Assault at level 4 to just really give you a ton of health back. I think Hot Pursuit is a terrible talent, and I don't like it at all. There is an argument that, well, when you get Tempered by Discipline, you're going to be moving at this speed more often because you have 10 extra stacks that have to deplete before, you know, you start to lose your hatred stacks. But the problem is that this speed doesn't ramp up at all. It's either you get the movement speed because you have 10 stacks, or you have 9 stacks, which means you don't have the movement speed at all. Now, if it gradually ramped up into giving you more movement speed and then maxed out when you had 10 stacks, I would, you know, there's an argument for using this talent, but I just don't like it at all. Searing Attacks is going to give you a ton more damage. Even if you went for Vampiric Assault, you're going to be healing for more because you're hitting harder. And then I explained Reign of Vengeance a ton. It's just better in most situations when you have an auto attack build. Tempered by Discipline, you gain 10 stacks of Discipline after Hatred. Again, we talked about this a lot, but I mostly picked it for the heal. This is to give us some sustain in this build. I did go for Stone Skin because of the enemy team's lineup, and then Nexus Frenzy is just a given. If you go for an auto attack build, you want to deal more damage. You could go for, like, if there's a Jaina on your team, go for Executioner. That's a ton of extra damage, and it goes with the auto attack theme. You could go for Tumble here. Really, any talent at this tier. She actually has a fantastic level 16 talent tier. Ton of flexibility here, and all of these would be viable. So, thank you all for watching today's video. I know I didn't play super well, but I think I got the points across that I wanted to get across. I'm going to be working on some other videos today, so hopefully we won't have these long breaks in between videos that we've had this week. I'm currently in the process of getting a condo, and I hope that I get it. Fingers crossed. I really, really hope that I get it. And, you know, the whole streaming schedule change has just been a killer on me. But I'm trying to do my best, and I hope you guys see that. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.